What's up with it?
Hola, guys.
What's
What
going on? What's happening?
here?
We
Uh,
back. We in
here
there like swimwear with some
on
adjustments
on a Wednesday.
Right.
on a
Yeah,
Wednesday.
it's a very, very, very weird day for us to be on because usually on Tuesdays
We usually on Tuesday, yeah.
we
But
had we had
it's all right though. Taco Tuesday. I was able to enjoy that yesterday. So
Tacos could be any day. So
yes, that's
I
very
mean
true.
that's a fact.
Very, very true.
That's very
Depending on the taco, but you're right.
if you follow us very closely, you notice that we had another topic planned for tonight, but we had
Yes.
to call an audible as we do sometimes in life. So, shout out to our guests that we have coming, but we'll let you know about that in the future. But
Yeah. I
today,
mean, we had to adjust. I
yeah,
mean,
we had to call
family emergencies and stuff happen. So
yeah, we had to call an audible, just like many quarterbacks in the NFL. Some better than others, some
I
better than
mean, we had to go Peyton Manning on y'all today. It's okay though. We know y'all wanted that episode. We're gonna get you this episode. We're gonna get you this content. We know a lot of y'all hit us up and was like, "Yo, I'm tuning in. I'm tuning in. I gotta watch this." So we're gonna get that content for you, and we're gonna make that happen. But tonight, just gonna do it a little bit different than. It's still gonna be fire though.
It's a special night because we're
Yeah.
going to talk about whatever you want to talk about. We
We
have
got Patricia here tonight with her hair. She got her hair straight.
I'm like, what is that? I'm sitting here like,
what is
We got Patricia with her hair straight today, and the forehead is out.
forehead gonna always be out.
Forehead is always out. Got the forehead out. It's
But
all
that's
right. It's gonna be all right.
like the old school say. That just means she got a lot of sense. That's what that means.
Mm-hmm.
She's intelligent, and that's what that means. So, all right, before we get started, y'all already know we got to check on our people. So, Trisha Michelle, how's your week started off so far? We halfway through. What's going on?
Hey, the week is flying by, but it's pretty good. Halloween passed, so not sure what everybody else did. I did nothing outside of just take those photos. So,
she like I had to do something for
not even
Halloween.
gonna lie. Like my daughter left, she went to Vegas. My son, he's over 18, so he partied his whole life away all weekend. He was like, I'm tired. I said, I bet you are. He was going somewhere Thursday, Friday, Saturdays. I was exhausted for him. So I was literally just here. So I was like,
Sure.
I look like Roxanne, so I'm gonna be Roxanne. And that was it.
I mean, you pulled it off. I pulled it off. Now, how fast did you come up with that? Was that spur of the moment, or
So
did
not
you
gonna
have it in your
lie.
head?
Not gonna lie. One of my friends said it when I was in Houston.
Okay.
And so I was like, because I was going to do Maleficent and do like a whole little shoot with Maleficent because that's my dog. I love me some Maleficent.
Okay.
But after she said that, I was like, oh, I could pull that off so easily with this hair color right now. So
it's all right. It's straight. You all right. You pulled it off. Disney. I don't know who that is, but you pulled it off. From
I don't know who that is,
I don't
but
know.
that's Roxanne from a Goofy movie. It's part of my group growing up.
I can't even remember. All I remember is
Sorry,
Goofy.
I forget that you're 65. I am so sorry.
Wow.
I remember
Okay.
that.
All right. I look good for 65. Remember that.
The irony behind that is when I saw your picture, it was crazy because I had just finished watching Atlanta. And if you've seen this week's episode of Atlanta, they're talking about the guy who fictitiously came up with the Goofy movie, and they were talking about the Goofy movie and talking about those characters. So when you posted, when you posted yours, I knew immediately who that was.
See?
So
I mean, hey, somebody got to know. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm 65, so I don't know.
I know.
Well, let's just put a pause there because Benji did just celebrate his birthday on Halloween. So,
did you?
Yes.
Wow! Didn't even know it was a player's birthday. That's cool.
You didn't post anything, did you?
Nah, I don't think I did. I did. Yeah, I did. I posted something, but
okay.
Listen, I'll be like this. You Negroes ain't called to check on me all year. Don't be trying to blow me up now. I ain't got no money. Can I hit that? No. You got a blunt? No. You got $1? No. So I just
Now I
chilled out,
know
man.
like you're October 31st because I never knew that.
My birthday is actually on Halloween. The dopest birthday of the year.
Let's calm down, but
Well,
now I know.
I mean, what's funny? When we were kids, I think it was Benji and somebody else who had birthday, and we had a running joke that kids that were born on Halloween were born with Halloween mask already. That's why.
Yeah, I used to be an ugly little kid. I can't lie to you.
Born with a mask,
He
so
was already dressed up.
already
dressed up. Already dressed up. Dressed up.
Ready to
But it was dope though. I chilled out, man. I actually didn't do much of anything. I chilled out. I relaxed. A couple special people called to check up on your boy. My boy Ken posted something. You know what I'm saying? So I appreciate that. You know what I'm saying? The shout outs. You know what I'm saying? So it was dope. I'm usually having a huge big old party and doing the most. But this year I was like, I wasn't feeling it. So, I didn't even have an idea of a costume, what I wanted to do. So I was like, forget it. I'm chilling. Plus I save money when I do that. So I'm always cool with that.
Okay. Saving money. Can't be mad at it.
Yeah.
Say that bread, man.
Got to. We in a recession right now, man. You know what I'm saying?
It's no November. Like you're saying no to everything. There's no spending. No.
No.
No. Listen, I don't participate in No Nut November or whatever they call it. No. Listen. y'all keep your worldly holidays and all. No.
That's gonna keep your pockets full. Saying no.
Huh?
That's gonna keep your pockets full. Saying no. Say no to these
no to these. It can, you know what I'm saying? But you know when you calculate, you know what I'm saying, you gotta, you like Ezel, I want $150,000.
Well, you are the same person who wears a shirt that says safe sex saves money, and the safest sex out there is no sex. So that's saving a lot of money.
No, the safest sex out there is wearing your prophylactics, man. Keep telling you that, man. Where you keep cover yourself. Wear your raincoat. Just like we had a rain check with our guests.
That's nowhere near the safest. That's not the safest.
It is safe sex.
No, the safest is no sex because
nothing will happen to you. That's guaranteed.
Man, you can.
Condom
rate is pretty high.
As usual, y'all are right. Okay, as usual, y'all are right in this regard. Okay, I will concede to that concept. All right, but yeah, all right, yeah, y'all win. Forget both of y'all.
Spin that bread,
yo. All right, so we got some topics we want to cover. So if anybody's tuned in and y'all got something y'all want to hear us discuss, if y'all want to hear our input on, y'all just put that comment in the chat and we'll definitely talk about it. But we're going to start off today by talking about the hot topics that's going on right now. And the hottest topic out there is Takeoff. Right. Rest in peace to that young fella.
Yeah,
28 years old, man. That's anytime you got a young guy like that who, and in the past
28, right?
Yeah, 28. In the past few years, there's been a ton of rappers like that are getting killed for one reason or another. I'm not a conspiracy theorist. I just believe that some of these guys are actually in the wrong place at the wrong time. And what people don't understand is when you become a name in some of these people will target you. In this instance with Takeoff, I'm not sure if that's the case, or I don't even think that's the case. I think this is really what it really sounds like is truly an issue.
Wrong place at the wrong time.
Wrong place, wrong time. But that's what we tell our young folks, right? For me telling my sons, sometimes when you're around certain people or you're around certain elements, you know what I'm saying, you got to be keen enough to see it and know and say, hey, you know what? I need to go ahead and bounce. I need to go ahead and move around because certain people just bring certain type of energy.
Mm-hmm.
That's just facts.
Absolutely. I just told my son that this weekend with his partying. Like, you got to pay attention.
Listen, man, like it's tragic. We got, the Monday morning quarterback because we can figure it all out afterwards. But it's just weird, man, how you just don't know. From day to day, you just don't know your time, your hour, any of that. You know what I mean? And as wealthy as he was, as famous as he was, like there's nothing you can do about it. You're around a bunch of wild young cats, you know what I'm saying, who are trigger happy. And, we're no stranger to it. We grew up in that. You know what I'm saying? I got cousins who done walked up to dudes and gave them a dome shot and they still in prison and all of that type of stuff. You just never know what the dudes that was busting, what they was on. Was they on it before they came? Like, I'm gonna go to this private party. I don't like that. Whatever it was, it's terrible, man. Especially for us folks.
It's unfortunate that that's always the answer nowadays. Like, I'm gonna kill you.
Right.
Whatever the beef was, I'm sure, and just like listening to the audios and stuff, and listening to the lady, that came out, I think it was today, talking about things worth, and none of it sounds like it was worth death.
Right.
But that's the result, where this young man is gone from his family, from, he's a brother, he's an uncle, he's a son, and he's gone at 28. At 28, I was still trying to figure out what the heck I'm doing. So right. He has not lived and now cannot. And that's just unfortunate.
Yeah. It sucks big time because, I guess as more and more stuff comes out about it and we get more and more info on it, we'll get a better understanding of it. But from the little stuff that I've seen, it's like, man, how can you be so reckless? But then again, we live in that space when no matter if you got money or you don't have money, there's cats around you who are envious of you and they'll take you out just for clout. Like, whoever killed him eventually is going to get caught. He's going to go to jail. He's going to be in jail probably talking about it. You get what I'm saying? Like, it's like, it's senseless in a lot of ways. It just don't make sense. But he's going to get some clout for it.
I'm going to tell you like this. He'll be lucky if he goes to jail, if he makes it there, because
if he makes it there, for sure.
Right.
So usually in those type of situations, it's what we call hood justice, where
right.
the person knows who did it and they try to retaliate, and it just creates a circle.
Right.
Of, going back and forth, which all too often happens in our culture. But the crazy thing is, man, again, it's rappers. And, I know it happens to a lot of different people in a lot of different places, but with the way music is, and if you listen to a lot of this music, they talk about guns very heavy. It didn't start now, it started when we were younger, but
right.
The problem now is, when we were younger, they talked about guns, but we were afraid of guns as kids. You know what I'm saying? We knew the danger that was involved. Now these kids are desensitized to gun talk, and it's more of an intrigue of, I want one, and they don't understand the finality of death, right? That person's gone, they're gone forever, like they're never coming back. But the other issue is these kids, they're okay with death because, again, they are more in love with the fame of something
that comes exactly
versus, the reality, right? Because they think, okay, if I die, at least, people will know my name and people will know me and people will talk about me. And what they don't realize, man, even with these celebrities, there's only a certain amount of time in which people will talk about it, unless you're like, Michael Jackson, Whitney Houston, somebody a name like that.
Super famous, right?
Man, they're going to talk about you for a short period of time. And then the next thing you know, it's going to be, on to something else. And these people are going to be completely forgot about you, man.
That's facts. Same thing with Eric Holder. He got his clout. He got his, little moment and stuff like that. And then it's like, you're done with it. You get what I'm saying? But I like, the sad part to me is nowadays we're only attributing it to music and rap music, when I don't think that that's the case. I think guns have been around forever. The huge talk is as well, gangster rap glorifies it, all of that type of stuff, right? But we're in a society where people die every day, and it's not necessarily related to gun violence. You get what
Well,
I'm saying? So a lot of people are kind of on the idea of it's just the rap music. We're putting this out there to our culture, and that's the reason why this happened.
I don't think it's necessarily they're putting the rap music as the sole blame. I
Right.
think it's a huge part of it because it's what saturated, you know what I'm saying, as far as what these kids hear every day. You know, for us, I laugh all the time because I can quote to you Ready to Die, Biggie's first album. I can
Right.
quote that to you verbatim, and I haven't listened to that album in its totality in 20 something years, but I can
Right.
still tell you word for word. So that's how much that music, you know what I'm saying, went into my
Was embedded. Right.
ingrained in me. So if I was a type of person that actually acted on the stuff that I listened to, I would have been in trouble, Jack.
It's just the facts. We grew up around it. Like I've seen it face to face. Like I've been right there and was fortunate enough not to get hit. You get what I'm saying? Like we've been around that stuff. And some people again, it's glorified in their eyesight. Like that's what that's how they get their clout. I bumped off so and so. So and it's a hood thing. Like
Well, I don't think it's
still
even
bumped off so and so. Like he done called him. He shot so and so. He did this. He did that. Like it's like a medal of honor to a degree.
Right. Because you ain't nobody until you done off somebody supposedly in the streets. So
Right.
and that's part of the issue though. When we talk about, a lot of times, of course, I believe that, when you talk about police brutality and black on black crime, there's two different things. Of course, we've already established that. But when people outside of our culture bring that up, that's got to ring true for us. We got to understand that from outside looking in, it looks crazy for us to be talking about these isolated events with these police officers, and we're not addressing what happens in our everyday life. You
Right.
know, yeah. So when people say that, I stopped getting upset about trying to compare police brutality and black on black crime because I don't compare the two. But what is a problem is people being killed for no reason. Because my mentality behind always has been, if I have to kill somebody, it's strictly for protection of myself and my family. Like,
Right.
right? It's not about me being upset or me trying to, get revenge on somebody or anything like that, other than protecting myself and my family. If it's anything outside of that, it's unnecessary.
Young cats just want to get that gap. They don't see we came up Ken throwing hands. Like we settled our differences right on the little black top. You get what I'm saying?
I mean, they settle it on the blacktop too, just in a different way.
I ain't gonna lie to you, man.
Very true.
You know what? But a lot of these young dudes, I'm gonna tell you the truth too. A lot of these young dudes, they stem from guys from our time frame that were cowards and that handled things that way, and they just trickle down. Because I ain't gonna lie to you, I posted the other day, it's a lot of dudes from my era that swear they can knock somebody out and they never had a real fight in their life.
Right.
So
they never squabble.
They don't know how to throw a punch. They don't know any of that. So of course, those are the guys who lean heavily on shooting people as well, because I mean that's the type of mentality that they grew up with. So like for us, like I say all the time on the show, when I was little, they called me Dirty Red because I fight. You know what I'm saying?
Go catch these hands. I'm just saying.
That was just my mentality. I was gonna fight until I got older, and my dad had to keep telling me, "Hey, you keep fighting people. People don't fight no more. They shoot."
Yeah.
So you got to quit fighting people. You got to fix your attitude. You got to deal with things in another way. So I had to, learn learn some other avenues. And I had to let some people. I had to let some situations just go, and I had to learn how to be the more mature person and
find the balance in between not being a pushover punk, but also being able to protect yourself and whatnot. But also not being a hothead to the point where, because that's what I was just telling my son too. Like, it changes now. You're not in high school. You can't be like, I'm gonna knock you out after school. Like, it's different now. Now everybody grown, everybody got access to a gun, everybody feel like they could do this, that, and the next thing. And the first thing that they're gonna pull out is the gun if they get access to it. So you could be like, oh, I'll fight him because I ain't scared because my son isn't. And I'm like, that's great, but no, not it ain't about that no more. Like, who cares about that? Because somebody will pull a gun out real quick and you can't win that fight. Like, so all of that hot head and trying to, pride and what you say with your chest gonna have to be put it down a little bit.
Yeah. No, I agree. That's great advice from a mother, definitely, because I think we were just taught like, squabble it out. But nowadays, again, like if I just want to end it quick, like I ain't got time to be squabbling with you. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm just gonna lay you out, and that to me is the troubling part because you don't value a life. But then that's where we can get the flack as our community. Well, you don't value your, another, brother that's your skin color. You don't value his life enough that you don't care. You could take him from his mama, his daddy, his grandmama, all of that. And we're not talking about Takeoff being, just some bum on the street on the side. So, he had some value to his life in terms of, I don't know him personally, but I'm sure he was taking care of his folks. You get what I'm saying? I'm sure he wasn't leaving his mama or his nieces, nephews. As a matter of fact, if I'm not mistaken, Quavo, it was like his uncle or something like that, right?
Yeah, Quavo's
so their family. So I'm sure that they're taking care of family as a whole. You get what I'm saying? So that to me, and even if it's a mistake, you get what I'm saying, or whatever you want to call it, but the fact that you just in a crowd and just start busting, like that to me is just straight sucker shit.
That's insane. And
that's some whole shit right there. Like
half these people own the gun and can't aim, don't know how to use it, don't know nothing about it, and they just gonna pop and they shoot.
I'm gonna tell you, that is 100% facts because your boy goes to the gun range pretty regularly.
Right.
I can't tell you how many times I have seen young guys in there of any race shooting guns and they can't hit the target. They aiming everywhere. They don't know how to operate a gun. There was a group of 4 young men that were, they were over there. They were talking and they were like, "Yeah, man, you got to shoot that thing like this." And the gun jammed. And they came over to where I was. "Hey, OG, can you unjam this?" You don't even know how to unjam your gun.
Right.
But you're here. And instead of, well, I'm glad they came and they asked me and they talked. It was respectful, but I had to school them. I said, "Say, man, if y'all don't know how to operate these guns, make sure that you know how to properly operate them before you even come in this establishment. Right. Because this ain't the place to be making mistakes around all these other people in here. I don't want you making mistakes at all. But again, the guns are so glorified and so easily attainable now. I mean, they've always been kind of attainable through different channels. Right. Now it's like
you can get it with ease now.
It's crazy how easy you can get a gun. And as long as you got the bread, you know what I'm saying, somebody can get it for you.
Absolutely.
So now everybody's got them and they showed
don't know how to use them.
No,
don't know how to break it down. Don't know how to fill it. Don't even know how many bullets go in your clip. You just up there busting, just recklessly, right? Yeah, man. But that to me overall, that just says, you know what I'm saying, back to the carelessness. You can't just give a kid something and then expect them to be 100 with it. Like
they don't care. Money.
What was that?
I said they don't care. They're making money off of it.
Very true.
Well,
very true.
And let me point out something too. We had one comment. We got a lot of comments rolling in.
Right.
Lovely niece, she said something that my dad says all the time. Most dangerous person is a person who is scary.
Right.
That person is unpredictable. So when you have a person who is scary or fearful and they have a gun, there's no telling what will happen.
Ego tripping.
And in a lot of cases, this is the problem. The person who is operating or who's handling that pistol is afraid.
Yeah. So, especially if they don't know how to fire. If you don't have no sense of how to use it, same thing with getting in a ride in a fast car. You don't know how to operate it. You just got your feet on the gas and you just taking off, right? Same thing. You could be ego tripping, scared with that whole thing, man, and anything can happen. Kid, whatever. In this case, man, like you hear about 5, 6 shots going off on the audio, and I'm like,
It's going
yo,
crazy.
like what the heck? You just busting in a crowd like that? Like, yeah, man, that was wild.
And that's why he hit 3 different people.
Right.
And probably neither one of them was who he was probably trying to shoot.
Trying to get at, right.
The crazy thing is why? Why would you fire a gun into a crowd like that?
But my thing is,
to me, that says I don't care.
absolutely.
You like, and I have no sympathy for a cat like that. You couldn't even, if I'm your judge, you can't even stand in front of me and give me any type of excuse. Like you just gonna wild out with whatever he had, whatever the gun was that he had, and you just gonna bust it, private party, so to speak. Everybody there you probably know to a degree. And from what I understand, there's tons of celebrities there. Quavo and them wasn't the only celebrities there. There were other celebrities there. So you just like whatever. And that to me, man, that's wild to the 10th degree that you just don't care.
And here's a good question from Tyrone Smith. The question is, how do you change the narrative? And I just spoke to, a couple people the other day because I recently had a relative of mine that was shot recently,
Right.
very recently. So I'm afraid that, we have come too far where
Right.
we are to change the way things are with these kids, because this is so deeply ingrained in them, and social media is a big part of it, right? This is who
Because
they
you
are.
get to act a fool on social media and get paid for it and go viral for it.
But this is who we are now, because I think I sent Benji a video of a young kid with a gun, and that's the thing, like to take
Although it was hilarious.
Yeah, it's wild.
It was funny.
It's like
I had to think about it afterwards and was like, yo, this is a young kid on this video. It looked like he had a 9 milli.
Nah,
you know what I'm saying?
Nah.
Yeah, something. I don't know what it was.
That was a 45, bro. That was a 45. That was a 45 he had. And this kid couldn't have been no more than 10, 11 years old with a 45 handgun. And he's
talking trash, talking smack.
Like calling people out, his classmates and all this kind of stuff, saying what he gonna do to him. I'm like, dude, like, and he probably ain't gonna bust a grape, right? But
that's gonna be the kid that accidentally shoots his brother or something because he got access to it.
That's a fact. That's a fact. And see, because the parents leave the gun laying around or reckless with stuff like that, that's usually the issue. That's how these kids get their hands on that stuff.
That right there just taught that kid that type of mess is cute.
Right.
So now that same kid is going to get older. Of course, he's going to have his own weapons that he's going to run around flaunting everywhere, laughing about it, joking about it, and then acting stupid. It's the trained junk that comes from generation to generation, whether it's music, whether it's movies, whether it's video games, or the stupid parents. It's constantly done, and we're laughing about it. Right. That's the problem. And we're giving actual access to it. Social media, the videos up. Like, why did you even record your child as a joke doing this? Why did you even allow the child to have the gun? Like the whys are endless. Like, and this is where it starts. And that person is going to be, that same child, mark my word, will be a problem later in life, if not already.
And the hard part is, and that's a hard question to say, how do we change the narrative? I will say this though. I think for some of us, the old heads that should have been teaching us left us alone in some regards. Like, I know we can be a community of one, like raise yours, do your thing, counseling, mentoring youth, stuff like that. But there was a space in between, man, where a lot of the old heads weren't really giving us a lot of game, man. They were in jail. They were doing their own thing. So a lot of these kids just missed out on a lot of the common sense, the common game. And I know this doesn't correlate, but it gave me an interesting thought on it, because at the JSU SU game, one of the kids, a few of the kids were doing a video and they were wilding out, saying this, saying that, talking about JSU, you know, wow, doing whatever, cursing, saying this, saying that. And Prime eventually got a hold of the video. And he was basically like, you know what? They're kids. They need some grace. I'm going to embrace them, but that's just me. Like, I'll forgive them because it was wild for them to say crazy stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? So openly, right? But one thing he said is be careful who you burn bridges with because you're going to need somebody to vouch for your character.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's what our older generation, for some of us, miss teaching a lot of us. And it's showing because a lot of our kids just don't have that tact, man. They reckless, they wild, they grew up without daddies, mamas, whatever. You know what I'm saying? So it's kind of reckless. And I don't know how we change the narrative. I wish I had that answer. I wish I did.
The only solution that I could think of right off the top of my head, and you said something that spoke to that, is the community, right? When we were growing up, there was a community policing, basically. Right. So in our neighborhoods, if Miss Jones down on the corner saw you doing something, she had the right to address it. Right. She had the right to say something to you. You know, she would go tell your mom, but she would also say something to you at that point. So you understood that, you know, people were watching. Right. So people say something. Then we went to that generation of you can't talk to my kid. Right. Don't say nothing to my kid. But that same lady or that same guy, if their kid is laid out somewhere, why didn't you tell him? Right. Why didn't you talk to him? No, you told me not to. Right. And these kids, when you approach them and try to talk to them, they'll talk to you crazy.
They sure will.
And you know, I personally don't have time nor the patience. A 10, 12-year-old little boy and then
talking to a grown man like he crazy.
He cusses me out. I just don't have the energy for that, right?
Right, because I might give you a 2-piece, and I ain't got, and you already know that's battery. You can't do that.
I'm not touching nobody's child, but what I'm saying is, when we were growing up, we had a community. We could go to the Boys and Girls Club, and we had mentorship there. We had OGs in the hood, and they would, you know, pour into you. They would give you the game if they saw you doing something, especially if you somebody in the hood and you had some promise to you, like some of these athletes and stuff. They would say, "Hey man, don't do that. Leave that alone. Hey man,
right,
come up out of there, man." You know, they would try to help you, and they would try to help protect you. Like now, you can't say nothing to these kids, and I blame the parents for that. And the parents want you to help them, but it's conditional. They want you to help them with conditions. They don't want you to be able to say nothing to their child on a regular basis. They just want you to say, okay, if he in serious danger, then jump in there. Nah, by that point, it's too late.
We have a tendency to adopt well, I don't care neither, because if you gonna treat me this way, then I'm cool on messing with you. So like, and I totally get it, and I'm big on that. Like I'm the type that I'll be like, oh, you could, oh, all right, I'm straight. I ain't got nothing to say, ain't got nothing to do, I ain't in it. My name is Ben, and I'm all of y'all friend, but I don't want to be around none of y'all. Like, I'm straight. I get it.
I think the biggest thing is, though, like I was saying, the community feel, but we got to have some type of mentorship programs in our neighborhoods, in our areas. That's the easiest thing to start with, to try to get some of these kids, especially at a younger age, because I've been a part of many mentorship programs that teach young men how to be young men, you know, basic stuff, how to tie a tie, how to address people, how to talk to people, how to have a conversation. You know what I'm saying? What is your future like? You know what I'm saying? Developing the thought process and just the basic things like that we assume that they should be taught at certain levels or at home. They're not. So we have to have something for them to do. And if we can start by doing those type of things again, I think that will actually help. You know what I'm saying? You know, get us going in the right direction with the next group of kids, because at some point we have to, you know, step in and make the changes that we wish to see on our own and not wait for somebody else to do it.
But here's what gets deeper than that, because then we get into, of course, the roadblocks along the way, which we as a community and as a culture need to go and see past that, because of course we're going to want funding for this and funding that we're not going to get, because of course
I was just thinking that funding.
poor or low class areas, we're not going to get anything to support these type of things. Of course, they want us to continue the same cycle so that we can go ahead and kill each other off. You know who I'm saying when I say they. So with this being said, we as a culture need to move beyond that. We could still be mentors without having these things. We could still try to create a community-wide thing in our actual like community with kids and stuff. We did it before. We, like you said, in the neighborhood when I was growing up, there was a lady on the corner that was like the second mom, and a lady across the street, and it was like a couple of auntie kind of, whatever, like that watched all of us, that all had a say so and what was going on, make sure everybody was good, that you fed you, talked to you, mentor you, pick you up, all these different things. And that didn't cost we didn't need no government funding to be that person to our kids. So that's where our mentality gets stuck. They don't want us to succeed. No, you got to look beyond that, push beyond the roadblocks, because they're going to always try to get us to give up. And we always give up. Right. And so that's where we got to be different too, as a mindset, to push past that. Because if we really care about these little boys and girls that we're trying to raise up to be the next generation of the next best thing for us, then we gotta do better.
And we also, as a people, we got to change our mindset on a lot of stuff. We like toxic content. Like, we like crazy stuff for some reason. That gets shared more than anything. Like, to a degree, we got to put better content out there for our people. And our people have to accept it, man. Like,
content is out there.
Right.
It's just not entertaining. People don't
want
want to be entertained.
Right.
Yeah. So if you can entertain and educate, then you might have a chance at actually grabbing their attention.
Right.
But you can't do both. You have no shot in getting them that information, because they're just not going to be interested in hearing anything.
At all.
Right. A lot of the stuff that goes viral nowadays, man. Wow.
We got plenty of rappers that rap about different things like Common and things like that, but Common ain't popular. Like, because they want to hear the other rappers that's talking about all the things that, killing and women and drugs and all the other stuff. That's what's appealing. The videos are great. I want to be him. I want the chains. I want this. I want that. And that's the problem.
Yeah.
Like you said, it's got to be entertaining in some type of way. We got to figure it out. We got to make it happen.
Right.
Yeah.
Got to figure it out. Cause it's a reoccurring thing. People die every day. But I think when stuff like this happens, because it's somebody that our younger people looked up to, it becomes a bigger issue. Like, people knew this cat. Like, millions of people knew this cat. And I'm sure he influenced millions of other, adults, but kids as well. So we got to...
With his age? Yeah, he kind of was speaking to both. 28.
Right. 28. So, he got the young crowd. He got the older folks. So,
But we got to understand, too, that the Migos have been out for 10 years.
Mm-hmm.
So that's, close to 10 years. So that's a lot of music, and that's a lot of people that they've touched and they've influenced with their music. So of course this is going to be on a larger scale than some of the other rappers that unfortunately met an early demise. So the Migos were a huge group, like of the 2000s. I mean, the 2010 to 2020, like in that block of time, like they were, if not the top group,
they were leading it for sure.
So doing their thing. They were doing their thing. I wasn't a huge fan of the music, but I mean, it's culture, you know what I mean? But hey, I like hip hop. I like lyrics and stuff like that. So when I'm listening to certain things, but nevertheless, man, it was, I hate to see a young cat, you know what I'm saying, get took out like that.
Nobody deserves death. Like, to play the hand of God, because that's what you're doing at the end of the day. You're giving death and finalizing someone's life because you said it's done. Like, no,
that's you on the ego trip. Yeah. That's crazy, man. That's crazy.
That's a wild situation. But again, prayers to his family and to his friends and the many fans out there who are affected, deeply by that, because music affects us all. So, I never would discount when an entertainer dies, and people try to minimize it sometimes and say, well, you didn't even know him, but you don't know what that music meant for them, and music touched people deep. So,
that music helped somebody who was struggling, depressed, ready to off themselves, and they found a new style of music to create something, and they
Right.
created something. And it's not all negative. Some dudes that rap like them ain't talking about
Wasn't
guns and
always,
this. You know
yeah.
what I'm saying? There's some kids out there who heard them and was inspired by them and created a whole nother lane with the same type of flow. You get what I'm saying? So
Mhm.
there's the pros and the cons with it. You get what I'm saying? But
Right. You
it's
get
life,
to,
man. Like
you get to
we
know
all
him
gonna
too.
leave. We don't know how we're gonna leave here. You know what I'm saying? So
You don't. And that's the unfortunate part too, is that whole thing with him and his uncle and his nephew. Is that uncle, nephew, uncle and cousin? They were going through their own little thing. So him and Offset wasn't really talking.
right,
And so with that being said, life's too short for all this beef when it
right,
comes to loving up on your family and the people that love on you. So y'all better love up on people and stop with the little stuff.
yeah.
That's a fact. So, with that being said, we'll move on to the next topic we have on the list, and that topic is Kyrie Irving. For me,
God, oh man,
I have a totally different stance on the Kyrie Irving thing from a lot of other people, and I was watching Shaq's commentary. I think it's from last night,
I didn't like his commentary.
and the way he spoke about Kyrie. And listen, I'm not a huge, into, some of the stuff that they talk about with the, anti-Semitic and things of that nature. But what I do understand is that you shouldn't be able to police somebody else's truth, right? If they believe in a certain doctrine and that's what they believe,
That's what they
we
should be allowed to believe.
we
That's what America is.
we live in a
That's what it
Melting
society.
was.
pot of
Yeah, we live in a society that's supposed to, what I'm saying, allow you to speak freely. Now, caveat to that is what people don't understand is when you speak, especially if you're somebody at that stature, that does not mean that there won't be backlash for what you
right,
say.
right,
Absolutely, yeah.
But I do like the fact that what he's saying, he's standing on it. And this is not the first time that he's made comments and he stood on them because that's what he believes. And I have to respect that as a man because all too often we have people that stand up and say things and flip-flop
They take
when
it
yes.
right back
when the
within
pressure's
24
on them,
hours.
Yeah,
and he
I agree. I agree
on
100%.
that he has said. So I respect that because I'm the type of person in my adulthood I've had to learn how to look at things from a different light, right?
Right,
Everything that I see, I know people might not agree with, and I don't agree with other people all the time, but I respect it
right.
because it's their perspective. So, so Trisha Michelle, what do you think about the Kyrie Irving situation?
Well, I'm just gonna say this, and I think after hearing you, I figured out why. I like the cat, like I really do, and I like when you keep it real. So my thing is, and this is swinging. Like I like Cardi B. She's crazy. She's ghetto, but she real. She's true. She's honest. She don't
Right.
fold. She don't change for nobody. So hearing Kyrie come out and be like, I'm talking, this is what I believe in, or this is what, for him to double down on what he said and not switch the whole thing and be like, okay, you guys, I'm so sorry. I didn't know. Now that I'm educated, now this, like, I always feel like, what? Like, at the end of the day, these are our own lives that we have to live in and wake up to every day. And the choices that we make, we have to live in them. So our truth. And I understand that he's in the limelight and all that good stuff, but he still is him. So he's being true
Right.
to himself so that he can live a happy life, being happy with the choices and the things that he desires.
Right.
And I think that that's what it is for me when it comes to him. I can respect that about him. And so I like you said, I'm not all into that whole little, I'd be like, okay, read a little.
Anti-Semitism thing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
anti-Semitism. I read on it a little bit. I'm like, okay, next. Like, I don't get too deep into all those things that they do with all that, but I definitely I can respect his angle and him standing down on what he believes.
Well, what's interesting though is that he never said he promoted it. He said he just
Mhm.
posted it because he wanted an understanding. And I
Right.
think nowadays, and I even deal with this just on a basic level on my social media posts. People will assume because you post a thing that it is 100% your perspective.
Mm-hmm.
No, sometimes you post things to get an understanding from another person's perspective.
Absolutely.
And I think when you're dealing with people's feelings is where the issue comes in at, because then you get other folks in their feeling and they ain't trying to understand you. A brother offended is harder to be won than a strong city. So if somebody is offended by what you say, it's just least likely that they're going to actually understand where you're coming from.
Yeah.
He stood up and said, "Don't dehumanize me."
Mm-hmm. He sure did.
Like, I did. Where am I promoting this? Well, Kyrie, you posted it on your page. No, I'm posting it because on Amazon, I get to post it. I want people to see it. I want people to read it. I want people to understand it. And I respected that from him because I do the same thing sometimes.
Yeah.
And I can understand where he's coming from. Doesn't mean I support it. I
Yeah.
mean, I got to look at it to understand it. You get what I'm saying? And then people want you with their feelings to walk on eggshells. But meanwhile, when it comes to my feelings, it's F you.
Mm-hmm.
And I can understand where he's like, you know what? Like, don't dehumanize me.
Yeah.
Like, I can post whatever I want. But then you get the Jew thing, the anti-Semitism and all of that. And he spoke eloquently about that. We know this. Black folks are the original Jews.
Mm-hmm.
That's no secret. Any theologian will tell you that everything originates from Black folks. That shouldn't be a fight. And he said that in his dissertation as well. We're in America. It's 2022. Nobody should be void of understanding any type of religion. Everyone should. So I respected him for the way that he broke it down, because I know Kyrie is a weird dude from what we know from him from social media.
Mm-hmm.
But overall, I thought that was solid, and I
I
did
think
like the way
he's
Shaq and
educated.
Chuck kind of called him idiots and stuff like that. I
I
didn't
don't
understand that at all.
think it's weird though.
I think he's educated. And
Yeah.
the thing that I say, and I say this because we as a culture in the age that we are now are barely learning our culture,
Our
basically,
own culture.
and our history, because of
And
course,
we actually don't know half of it, so we be tripping off learning it when we hear it.
exactly. So at the end of the day, for him to sit here and dig deep and try to figure things out and want to read this article and share it with the world and let the world take whatever take they want from it. But here's something you can read, because maybe you didn't even know this existed, because I didn't, that type of thing. And I believe that that's where he's coming from with it. And at the end of the day, where's everybody at on social media? Ain't nobody opening up a Google search saying, who's the original this and what's this, and no one's doing that. They're gonna scroll and they're gonna tap and they're gonna click. So he put it where people gonna see it.
Right.
And here's the crazy part: we live in the information age and know the least.
I mean, you know what? That is actually in Scripture. It tells you that they will be wiser and more wicked. It tells you that as we get closer to the end time, people will have less of an understanding. So
that's exactly where we are. So we have all this information at our fingertips, but we refuse to go and seek it. You know what I'm saying? Because it doesn't add value to us.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? That we think so. And then when people go and actually get this information and they start telling you this information because the information is foreign, we just check the boxes. Okay, crazy, he's weird, and write him off. When in actuality, if you listen to him and go read for your own understanding, you'll come back and probably say, you know what,
he was probably right. But see, that's anytime you're uncovering truth, whether it be with a fellow human, you guys have probably dealt with this. Somebody you've been super cool with was wilding out, you didn't know it, then you find out, and then you address it. You get what I'm saying? Like they pity pat around with it. Like, yo, was you really doing such, such? When you uncover any type of truth, you're going to have some issues because people don't like to be found out. Absolutely. And in this case, when you start finding out information and dissecting it for yourself, people will look at you awkward. Like, why you reading? Because they don't, Mass and them didn't want I don't want my niggers to read. You know what I'm saying?
That's
Like,
why there ain't much history taught about what really happened to a lot of our Black history. They're not
right,
going to teach us that.
right.
So the people that we call weird and crazy now, Kyrie, Kanye, whatever, I think they just digging deeper into some things. Now, there might be, we'll get to Kanye when we get to Kanye, but
Yeah, that's a whole other story. That's a
but
mouthful.
but I am saying, like, I can appreciate the fact that these individuals kind of, they're stepping into a world that a lot of us, like you said, it's at our fingertips. We ain't
Right.
even trying to go there. Like, and for me, that's us.
Yeah.
It's us. How are we gonna teach our, especially the biggest thing about history for sure is that how can we be better? How can we evolve? How can we change any narrative if we don't even know what the narrative is?
Right. We don't know the foundation, so we can't stand on it. But
Like,
you know what's interesting though? Is Kendrick Lamar sings and raps these same lyrics in his music. You go back and listen to his damn album. You go back and listen to his cuts, and he's talking about it on the Y'all record. Like,
mm-hmm.
it's nothing new. I just think we're in a space to where people want to pick and choose, and when you get to that space, you don't really want the truth. You just want to be able to ride a wave and create some drama and probably, get some clout from it.
And that's
But
how we will forever be where
if
we
you
are.
follow our leaders, they've been talking about it for Farrakhan ain't gone. He's been talking about it for years.
They're
Well,
not gonna do that. That's boring to them.
I was gonna
Right.
bring that up too, though. You know what? I have an issue with a lot of times, and we'll get to this a little bit more in depth, or we'll talk about it throughout the evening with the people that we're going to talk about. But people get too caught up and they miss the message because they were too worried about the messenger. So I have this conversation with a lot of Christians all the time because they bring up Farrakhan, and I say, I listen to Farrakhan as well because he
Yeah.
says some poignant things and some great information. So I'm not going to discount that man just because we don't have the same religious beliefs. I'm
Right.
not going to discount him and his knowledge base because of that. And I'm not afraid to listen to him. And that's what it is. A lot of people are afraid to learn new things and from different people because, quite honestly, I'm gonna be honest with you. A lot of these pastors that people listen to, what I'm saying, on a weekly basis, they're some of the worst human beings walking the planet.
Say that
Man,
again.
half of these pastors ain't got no anointing on
Say
them
say it again.
whatsoever. And
So,
listen, I always. When was the last time you laid hands on the sick and seen one recover? When was the like? Don't play with me. I come from the whole background. I done seen lupus healed. I done seen major miracles. I done seen it all right in front of my face. So, I think information, if it's solid, you can take it from anyone. It doesn't matter if it's Minister Farrakhan. It doesn't. If you're a thinking person and you sitting down and you talking and you having a conversation, and that person says something that is really relevant, why not accept it? Why not take it?
but
My
that's
thing
And
the hardest thing, though. That's hard for most people to
right,
accept information from somebody that they can't get past what they look like, what they sound like, their religious
facts.
beliefs. They're
but
not even listening at a certain point. They're just going to cut them off simply because they don't like the way that person looks. They don't
Right.
like what that person has on. They don't like the exterior, so they're not even hearing anything that comes out of their mouth.
Now
are
I
you
have a little bit of problem with that because if you ugly, I mean, I
here we
might.
go. But my thing is, are you even truly learning if you can't take in input from different angles and aspects and really trying to dissect information? If you're only gonna, I only want to go and learn it from here because
Right.
that's the only person I want to hear it from, or these people or this religion or this whatever, they're the only ones that know. And it's
Right.
like, that is not factual, and we've been running off of that for the longest with
And
school
it
and
hadn't
stuff,
gotten us.
and got
It's
nowhere, and
right.
still don't know what's going on. Like,
Right.
so to take it from all these different spaces and to divulge and to, just take it and dissect it and figure out what it is and really understand these things, that's how you learn.
I agree.
Yep. And you'll find that it's a lot of people out there who think in the way in the way that I mean Kyrie does, but
Mhm.
You go to a HBCU, you walk across those campuses. You think Kyrie is weird and he's an anomaly, but when you go to a HBCU, anybody out there who's been to a HBCU can tell you that you have a group of those guys, or multiple guys similar to Kyrie, and talk the same way, walking that campus every day. That'll stop and build with you. You know what I'm saying? And have you give information to you and have these conversations with you about the history, about things that we should know as Black people, because all too often we just listen to what's being told to us instead of reading and actually studying for ourselves.
I agree.
We don't want to critically think. We don't want to be challenged. We don't want to that we steer clear of that when having those deep conversations.
And I'll forget all that. Just tell me what I need to know.
Yeah,
I mean, but a lot of that comes from way back. You get what I'm saying? Some of our folks were conditioned to not to read. It's some of our older folks who don't know how to read.
A lot of the way that we are now is still conditions from way back then. That's gone from generation to generation.
And the crazy thing is, I saw a picture of a slave master reading to the slaves during slavery period, and none of the slaves had Bibles. Only one Bible was in that building, and that was the slave master, and he was the one teaching, and he was the one preaching on Sundays, and these slaves didn't know anything about what they were being read, so they
just accepted it as truth.
They just accepted it as truth. And it's funny now that when you go to most churches and you sit back and you watch, 9 times out of 10, a vast majority of the people sitting in their audience, even with a Bible sitting right in front of them in the little cup, they won't pick it up. They just gonna take the pastor for his word. And that's
we used to have a saying that if they showed up to Bible study, they were actually a part of your church. They were actually a member of your church, because you actually would take the time to sit down, study, read, listen, open your Bible, search the scriptures to see whether this was true, get your own perspective, get your own idea, instead of just getting up. And I can tell you assuredly, most of the times on a Sunday morning message, sometimes it's just you just going with the flow.
Facts.
You literally, you hooping and you're just going with the flow. Half the pastors didn't study the night before because they was probably at a jazz club. Their wife was probably tripping. They was mad, so they didn't really get no study time in. So they just got up and then they was preaching, and then they done said something that ain't in scripture. And everybody like, amen. And if you're a scholar, you sitting there like, that ain't no word. That ain't
where you find that at? What book of the Bible that's in?
Right.
When you're a scholar, when you've been to seminary, and when you did all of that, when you hear error, it clicks just like that.
So yeah, but see, and that's one of the biggest things, man. We don't want to do our own research. We'll read social media all day long. We'll read our timeline for hours. But if I say, hey, I just got this new book, you know what I'm saying? You should check it out. Here you go. I'm gonna give you this book. You think somebody's gonna actually read a book? They're gonna look at you like you crazy.
I'm glad I read. I'm glad I read because trust me.
I'll have it read to me, but I read.
You gonna get you a Kindle?
That's my computer. I just
don't get the ebook. She I
put it on the computer and then it just reads it.
I'm old school, man. I gotta have the actual book in my hand. I got my one of my partners was laughing the other day because I actually have bookmarks. He was like, "You got bookmarks, bro?" I was like, "Yeah, I got bookmarks." Like I really do.
I want to know where I stopped and what I read.
I really
did. Like, hey, well, all of us went to college, so
Yeah.
I mean, but see, that's a different reading, because that's reading because you have to. It's a different when you're reading because
you want to. Yeah.
And but you know what I'm saying? We can read. I think Patricia can read.
I can read. I can read. You know what? I can read. And I can read when I'm getting ready to block somebody in my DMs. I can read a lot of stuff. I
can read. Well, for me, with the whole Kyrie thing, we don't have to agree with everything he says.
Right.
And, I think that's where people get lost as well. They think that it's a total yay or nay. Like either I agree with him totally or I don't. And it doesn't have to be that. It could be you agree with some of the stuff he says, and then some of the stuff
you don't agree with.
But you know what? At the end of the day, he's a human being.
Mm-hmm.
He gets to pick and choose what he believes in.
Exactly.
And if you don't want to support that, fine. Like they had a group that went and sat on the sidelines with the t-shirts, and I'm like, okay, that's something they can do. You know what I'm saying? In America,
they have the right. They can pay their tickets and go down and do that, right?
That's a fact. But if you allow them to do that, if somebody else, another group were to do that, then you have to allow them that same
exactly.
You know,
if there's the freedom
to do that,
if there's the freedom to do that, then there is the freedom for that man to post what he wants on his social media.
Yes, facts.
The problem I think that it stems from it all is that people like to flex on you. So kind of like what Charles Barkley was saying last night. Like, well, if he can say that, well, then I have a right, because I'm paying him $40 million, I have a right to say I'm going to suspend you and take some of your money. And that's where the issue comes in at, because it's like, if he can't express himself, you get what I'm saying, then you're trying to you essentially trying to dehumanize him, make him not have an opinion.
Kyrie ain't got no problem with that. He's not gonna be quiet just because he sat out about the whole vaccine thing. So he stood by whatever he believed in. And so if they want to bring that heat, I'm pretty sure Kyrie.
Cool. Kyrie, this off the subject, but Kyrie gonna be a Laker soon. Watch what I tell you.
I mean, at this
Bron gonna take him back.
At this point.
Well, see, for me, I think it's, if it's a contractual thing, if it's in his contract, if it's in black and white, hey, you can't do this, you can't do that. I totally get it. Right. But if that's not the case, then, as an organization, any organization or any NBA, entity, like if y'all don't have that in black and white, then how can you police these guys and what they say?
And that's a fact.
Okay, so let me ask this question. You're a Jew, Adam Silver, and Kyrie says what he says. How do you feel if you're in Adam Silver's position?
Well, my first thing is to sit down and talk to the guy to try to
educate yourself.
Because my thing is, when you hear things, and I think this is the main issue with all of this, is people have misunderstood what he is saying, what the message is. They just hear certain buzzwords and they sick the dogs on people without actually conceptualizing and saying, okay, this is what he's actually discussing. He said these words, but this is what he actually means. And sometimes just listen to people, man. And all too often we talk about this is people listen to reply, not to understand.
Very true.
Yep.
So you got to sit back, and sometimes you just got to let stuff sink in and say, you know what? Okay, I got it. I might not agree with it, but I get how you could think that. You know what I'm saying? So I don't have a problem with you thinking that. I just don't agree with it.
The next thing that they do is, because they don't understand it, it's also a no.
Yeah.
Right.
And it's like, well, first of all, maybe ask this person, like you said, sit down and ask. That's one thing. T.I., whenever there's something going on, let's sit down. Let's talk about it. Let's have a discussion first. Or go research and figure out what is he talking about first.
Right.
Like, and then whatever your stance is, let's just whatever, that's fine. But people immediately write somebody off because they just don't. I don't know what you're talking about. Get out of here.
He's gotten a bad rap to a little bit. You know what I'm saying, for stuff he's done. So people are starting to dislike him and all of that type of stuff. But I totally get where he was coming from. Again, he didn't say he was promoting anything. He just said he was posting it. And I get it. I do it myself. People think everything that I post is about me. You post something about a relationship, and these Negroes think you in a relationship going through it. And I'm like, what you don't need to be in a relationship? Like, what is your problem?
I'll be ready to report you, so I get it.
You be ready to report me?
Oh,
with your code. See, I thought you had my back like a car seat, but I could see obviously. No. I'm just saying, it's all right though. Go ahead, report it. I mean, Facebook did block me for posting a wine bottle, so I mean, what am I going to do?
Dang, you live a sad social media life.
I mean,
well,
I got to keep some things under wrap because
Well, we're gonna switch gears a little bit and talk to, I'm saying, a subject that is very similar to Kyrie, which is Kanye. Um,
Yes.
and a lot of people are up in arms, and this is the one thing that bothers me the most about the Kanye situation is how our own black people are bashing him and tearing this black man down.
Let me
Okay.
ask you this though, Ken. Let me ask you this though.
Mhm.
If you are the George Floyd family, how do you feel if that was your kinfolk? How would you feel about that?
I'm not. I can't tell you how they feel because I'm not them.
Right.
So I don't even want to, what I'm saying, like pretend, because there's no way I can feel what they feel when they had a loved one die so tragically in front of the world. Like
Right.
that on a whole
Yeah, that brung a whole, so to
right,
speak, revolution to
right.
the front.
So his family, Steven Jackson, like they got a whole nother, level of emotion that they are experiencing. So for him to say what he said, again, like many things that Kanye has said, I understand his train of thought. When you
Yeah.
listen to his music and you listen to him talk, you can understand what he is saying, what he is trying to
To
say.
say, yeah.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
He isn't the best at articulating
Articulating.
Articulating.
certain
Yes.
times,
That
but
I agree with.
you
And,
understand.
and I agree because sometimes I'm the same way.
Well,
Sometimes I have a very hard time articulating things.
Benji is mini Kyrie and Kanye, huh?
yeah, but we
Many,
all
no,
right.
I ain't crazy like that. No.
Well, we all have, issues articulating ourselves at certain times, especially
Yeah.
we get in our emotions,
Under
especially
pressure.
stuff is going on, we're in a stressful situation, or when we're, especially like I said, when we're in our emotions about something and something strikes a chord with us and we want to reply, what I'm saying, without deeply thinking about it or have time to develop a response, where you have a guy who is used to writing, what I'm saying.
Right.
Kanye's a writer, Kanye's an artist, Kanye's a poet. You know what I'm saying? And that stuff takes time and a creative process for him to come up with what he comes up with. Yeah, he can freestyle, but we all know Kanye is not
He's a writer. Yeah.
the best freestyler. So, but he's a creative person. And a lot of people say, well, we're mistaking his thought process for genius and things of that nature. I'm not going to take anything away from what Kanye has provided as far as his art, because if you listen to his music, if you've seen the things that he's been a part of and created, you cannot say this man is not a musical genius.
Yeah.
He is,
It's
absolutely, he is.
You can't deny that.
And
I was
even
literally listening to old Dave Chappelle show, and he had a song that I think I've never heard before because I never heard it, but he was doing the chorus line with comment on it, and I was like, "Yo, like
Yeah, that's
that joint slap!" Like it
that's,
was.
that's a
And I
comment.
ain't the biggest Kanye fan, but like I said, when you hear good music, and he wasn't cussing and wilding on the track. It was just a dope track, and I was like, oh, okay. And then you just check his track record, you can't help but find some dope music. And he
And
ain't always talking about bees and hoes and
that's what I'm
and
saying.
and, and
but
shooting
Kanye
people
doesn't
in
really talk
the head.
like
And
that.
so it's like, all right,
Kanye,
Kanye doesn't really talk like that anyway. He
facts,
really doesn't.
exactly.
He actually has a message half the time in
facts,
some type of way in his music. He
facts.
really does.
So
I agree. I
that's
agree.
what I'm saying. His whole catalog speaks to that, and
Right.
always speaks truth to power in the things that he's saying. So when people go out and totally dismiss all his work and everything he's done positive because you don't agree with one thing he said or this one thing that he did, listen, that's what I have. Like they say all the time, don't throw the baby out with the
With the
bath.
bath water, right? To
Right?
me, that just go in those moments. That's who you find out who's really rolling with you.
Absolutely.
Because to me, I don't mind those moments. I live for those moments because I need to know where you stand. Like if you flaky, I need to find out because I tell people this all the time. If I lose something, I'm gonna get it back and I'm gonna get it back bigger. But if you only here for the fishes and the loaves, you might as well dip now because once I find out, I ain't gonna like you no more. It's just period. Like You don't only need you around me. You get what I'm saying? So I love those moments. So I'm glad he's finding out what's going on. But for me, overall, I just want to make sure the dude's healthy mentally. Like that's
Now
my whole point. Like, is he straight? I know
reason.
he got issues, right?
I
But
don't.
I don't
is he
want to
straight?
say he has issues.
I don't
Yeah.
think that. I think when
Well, he's bipolar, right?
Well,
well, they're
Or
quick to
is that medically diagnosed, or is that just something that they say
no.
out
So
there?
this is what happened. They had somebody preview and listen and watch Kanye acting how he's been acting,
yes,
and then diagnose him through videos and just watching what we see.
yes,
And, oh, he's
Right.
bipolar. He's got all the traits of being this. He's bipolar. No, you have not sat this man down in a closed off setting. Actually, had your one on one and medically evaluated this man. You have not. So therefore, no. And then I'm not going to say he's crazy because there we go. They want to call
a label.
Kyrie weird and
Yep.
they want to call Kanye crazy. And it's really just a different understanding. And like you said, he doesn't really articulate himself the best. So then we get lost in the mess because he's lost in the mess when he actually has a little message that if he could just stick
Right.
to it, like we could really probably kind of grasp what he's trying to say. And at the end of the day, I think the only other thing that's wrong with him is like he lost his mom and he never ever took the time to
Recover from
actually
that.
just
Now that to me, I know is
and I
huge.
think that's his only problem. And
Right.
that's it.
I think.
Yeah, I know that losing your mom is huge. That's listen, man. That leaves such a void in your life. It's yeah. I know that hurt because his mom was very instrumental to him. So
Mm-hmm.
Mine was just
Absolutely.
everything. So for
Everything.
like I mean, like Trisha Michelle said, the mental health piece of it is the main concern, for us because we want to make sure that this guy is,
he's
mentally.
right. That's ultimately if it's a brother. I mean, I'm like I said, I may not know him, I may not be his biggest fan, but he's a brother. And the fact that he's a brother, I want you to be straight because I already know they're gonna crucify you if you do something wrong, if you do something bad, if you this, it's just gonna happen. And me, as long as he's straight, because if we lose another person who can add some value to Negro society, I mean, all they're gonna do is, badger you and talk good about you for a few minutes, and then you're gonna be a blur in the wind. So I'd rather, a cat like that stick around, you know what I'm saying, and we have time to kind of deal with and understand and learn that type of dude. You get what I'm saying? Because I wasn't the biggest fan, so I don't know a lot of his music. I can't say I've listened to him from when I started listening to hip hop. I just started listening to him the past few years. So
He's got some good music, but the thing is here, even if so say people they run with the bipolar thing. If that is the case and that whatever, so be that. If that's the case, these people are literally cheering on this man's demise. Like,
Facts.
and
that shows you how sick they are, right?
that's so mentally, if this person you're saying this person is unstable, you're going to cheer on things happening to him to a mentally unstable person. Like, if anything, you should be trying to seek help and find help and lift this man up and wrap him in your arms, hug him, whoever, if that is really what you guys truly believe about him.
Right.
So it's just crazy to me that they believe this and then gonna beat this man when he's down, basically. Like, that's crazy.
It's a lot of things that people dismiss because they just don't simply know, right? Because there have been a lot of people in our history that were basically covert operatives, as we say. They had one aim, but they had to go about it this way to get to this point.
Right.
And there's a lot of things that he's done that wouldn't have happened had he not gone about it the way he went about it.
Oh, I absolutely get what he did.
Right. So for him to be a billionaire or be even in that conversation to be like that. And this is a guy who started out with absolutely nothing, riding around Chicago in an Altima. Right. I mean,
he's built himself up pretty nice. I mean, you can say it's crazy all you want to, but to be able to get out of those contracts, to be able to get out of those bad business contracts, which everyone agrees were bad business deals by him.
Everyone agrees that it was bad business deals.
Yeah, everyone agrees it was bad business deals because he signed away his brands in the earlier deals. Everyone who talks about the master investor, Ian, the dude I follow, had the actual contract from Adidas. And he says it openly on his platform. Look at this. It is a bad deal. Kanye signed over his branding rights for it.
3 months
So if
before.
I find that out and I know it, and I'm what, a year, 2 years, 3 years later, I'm like, oh, I don't want this deal no more. I'm out of here. You can have that. My name ain't on it. We cool. We straight.
But you
I'm
can't
gonna
do
go
it that
create
way.
something else.
You can't do it
That
that
to
way.
me makes
Kanye
sense.
knows that. You
Right.
can't just say I'm out of here. So 3
Right.
months before he started acting the way he was acting, Kanye was said that these was bad deals. I want my brand.
Right.
And then here we have, and the only way to get out, the
Right.
only way to get out without having to go to court, pay
It's-
some money, get, is to do some that they don't want to be represented by you no more. Here you go, goodbye.
And I'm out of here. And they took such a hit on these deals because you know people gonna be looking for them in Ross right now. They're gonna be looking for the Yeezys in Ross real soon.
And you'll never find them in Ross.
But Adidas has already lost hundreds of millions of dollars
This
from
man
his
is coming
departure.
back with his brand,
Right.
tenfold.
Well,
right.
I'll tell you this. Years ago, there was another gentleman that everybody said he was crazy and he went off the rails. His name is Dave Chappelle.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
He was crazy. And people said he was all these names and what is he doing? He tripping. They offered him all this money. And when he came back and actually had the opportunity to articulate why he walked away from that deal, people looked crazy. And now they're like, oh, so
now you got your okay.
Right. You got to understand the way somebody described it the other day in the video I saw is people are trying to understand Kanye's mindset, Kanye's strategy when none of us, he's in those shoes of 1% and he's looking down from so high up. You can't even fathom what he's dealing with at that level or the decisions that he's having to make or the pressure that he's under. So this man also is in a situation with his family. He is with his wife anymore. Like he's got a lot going on. And there's also a video of him recently at his kid's game and he's arguing with one of the parents there. He can't go anywhere without people approaching him and saying things to him and doing things to him. And again, this is somebody's dad, right?
He's a human.
He's a human, right? So again, with the dehumanization of another man because you don't agree with his opinion is a problem.
Hey, that's the world we living in. If they can't do something to you, they're gonna try to get something from you. So,
but this is the thing: the man really ain't crazy because I give kudos to him from he's still going outside, he's still interacting, and he ain't went off the deep end on nobody. You got a parent arguing with you at the practice. You got all these people that's confronting you and probably saying all kind of stuff when you're walking down the street doing what you're doing. And there ain't nothing where he done went the heck off. And us regular people, I don't know.
You're ready to go off, right?
I can't say I would be able to take all that. I don't know.
You didn't slap nobody this week, did you, girl?
No.
You gotta understand. Okay. What Kanye is going through at a certain point is equivalent to now. I know people are going to be upset about this, but I'm not saying that he's in the same shoes. But when, black folks were going through the civil rights movement and they were walking down the street and people were throwing things at them, yelling things at them, and treating them unjustly just because they look different, just because they walk different, just because they talk different, they think different. We're doing the exact same thing to people because we don't agree with stuff that they say or the way that they move or the things that how they go about life. And we got to get out of that because the thing of the matter is these people have a different thought process. And maybe many of us should have different thought processes when it comes to things. My oldest son calls people's NPCs. And if people are in the gaming world, you know what an NPC is. That's a non-playable character. That's the character that's just walking around in the background aimlessly. You can play a video game and you can walk around the corner and come back and that same character is still walking there.
I like that. That's
what most people are. They get up, they go to work every day, they think one way, and you
They
can't
just
tell them anything because they're so caught up in their own world. They don't know that it's another world outside of where they are that actually exists. And where Kanye is, where Kyrie is, where all these celebrities are, and they go through these things, we're not in that world, right? They're on another game board. We're down here on this level, and they playing the game at a very high level.
It's
And
levels to this.
yes,
Yes.
you can't.
All I know is when I saw the contract, I could understand. Yeah, I would want out of that too. And
So
that to me was like, oh, okay, yeah, I totally get it. Because
and so,
I dealt with that on my minor level. You get what I'm saying? And I'm like, you mean tell me you're gonna offer me crumbs? Oh, okay, well, I'm good.
hold on the Drink Champs interview that they took down. There's a portion of that interview that Nori tells Kanye, why didn't you start with this mindset that he was talking about? And Kanye was going through this rant of I'm jealous of that community because they read contracts well. I'm jealous of that community because of how they interact with their spouses. I'm jealous of that community of how they move together. Like those are the things that he sees for everybody and for our culture. But because we again dismiss him because we don't like the way he said, we don't like the red hat. We don't like these things that he's doing. So we're just going to dismiss everything that he says, everything that he's doing. Come on, man.
Well, he's running in 2024, so to speak. So I don't think we've seen the last of him. So.
But what I can say is, speaking to that little bit of the narrative and foundation that need to be changed, he's speaking to it. That's the stuff that we need to change, like the way that they interact as a family and come together and the whole like unity.
But here's the crazy thing: we as Black people, we said, he running for president, man. Kanye crazy. But Trump ran for president and he won.
Yeah,
if I'm Kanye, I'm looking at Trump like, what's the difference?
You're right about it. You're right. Honestly, why can't I run for president?
We let Trump go play around with the world. So
facts. You're right about it.
So I'm saying, like, when you really think about the crux of the stuff that he talks about and his thought processes, he's really not that crazy.
I don't think so at all.
And doing the things that we only hope that we could actually have the balls and audacity to actually even fathom.
He's doing it. And when you kick against the system, usually, you know how our folks are, they scared of, they just go with the status quo, just roll with the punches. And anybody that jumps out of that box and tries to create a different narrative for themselves, we always look at that person crazy. I mean, if you study the story of Benedict Arnold, he actually freed more slaves than Harriet Tubman. But because he did it in a different way compared to her, we don't talk about Benedict Arnold like we talk about Harriet Tubman. But it's written. Go read it. It's there.
Well, that's because we only talk about what they're teaching us in the school.
Exactly.
I'm going to get in trouble for this. Okay? So
we can't get in trouble tonight.
You can't get in trouble tonight. What?
Talk about
that's all right with me. He's walking on the wild side with us, Patricia.
I'm just saying, let's just talk about for a second when Kanye said slavery was a choice. Okay, now the context of that, him just saying it and the way he said it, and when he was standing there was crazy.
Delivery.
Like, I'm not saying he was crazy. I'm just saying the way he said it was wild. I'm like, you just can't say that without without providing some context.
Help me understand.
So what I read between those lines, and I have thought this before as a kid, when you see the movies and the stories about the slaves, and you see 400 slaves, and you see 10 guys that are controlling these 400 slaves,
right? How can that be?
It would appear that it's a choice because it's like, it's 400 of y'all. Why don't y'all attack them and take over? Right. That's the mentality that he was thinking of that with. That's what I'm thinking.
Yeah.
Right now,
if you've seen the movie Woman King, you would understand that type of rebellion can happen. It can take place if you do it.
And I think that's where he was going with that. But because he said it and didn't provide the context to it, it just sounds crazy. Right? Because we all know that it wasn't a choice. So you know, I think because we are so programmed to react and not think outside of the box per se, we just heard that and would just, you know, everybody was just lashing out instead of thinking, well, you know what? I don't like the way that he said that, but let me think
If you
about it.
think a little bit, yeah. But
That's the thing. You gotta. No one steps back and says, "Okay, let me figure out. Can I try to understand where he was coming
Because
from?"
we want to respond. We want to be the first one on social media
Mhm.
to post.
the first one to post it, the first one to say it, the first one. And meanwhile, you're getting clout because your page is boring. And if you wasn't talking about Kanye, you know what I'm saying, you probably wouldn't have no likes and views. You know what I'm saying? So,
In the words of old school, loud and wrong.
yes, the squeaky wheel gets the oil.
Loud and wrong. So,
A lot of squeaky wheels out here.
but like I said, that's my thought process when it comes to Kanye. He says a lot of stuff that is weird and kind of off the rails when he says it. But when you really sit down and kind of dissect what he says and his thought process, and when he comes back and you look at different interviews, because that's also a key to him too. For me, I'm a huge Kanye fan, so I've listened to his music from the very beginning. So I've seen the changes, seen the growth, but I also look at the interviews, and it's kind of like a puzzle. Like some of the pieces are over here, some of the pieces are
in this interview, and then the other part is in this one.
So if
and
you
then put these, that's very much Kanye.
Then you can kind of get an understanding of, okay, so I see where he's going now. Does he need a publicist to help him say stuff? And it would behoove him to kind of do that. But at the same time, if he did have a publicist, it wouldn't be Kanye.
But
so if he's a wild horse. They used to say the same thing about Dennis Rodman.
His publicist probably need to be Kyrie.
Right. Chuck Daly used to say the same thing about Dennis Rodman.
I don't know about that one.
You can't put a harness on him. You can't put a harness on a wild horse.
But I don't think not to put a harness. See, the problem with Kanye is his delivery, his articulating it, like we said. And so if he did get one, it wouldn't be don't shut him up. Help him articulate what he has to say. Let Kanye be Kanye and what he's delivering, because I don't think this half the stuff the man says ain't wrong. He's just saying it wrong. Or his message that he's trying to say is incorrect in the delivery or the words he put together. So have a person that just formulates your sentences, like the president got the person that gets his whole little thing together. They don't just let him go speak. Like, have that person.
Well, we know 45 couldn't read off the prompter, so he would kind of freestyle it most of the time. He's like, man, I ain't reading that. So sometimes you get in a space where nobody can tell you.
Twitter, and LeBron.
Again, overall for me, long as he mentally, like he's a brother, long as he's mentally cool, man. I don't want to see another brother. I don't want to see another brother, you know what I'm saying, go out, you know what I'm saying, weird mode, because we know they try to silence our folks when they.
We gotta protect that man too, even if we don't understand him. Protect that man too.
So with that being said, I got one more person I want to discuss, and this is probably
Charleston White.
The most controversial of those three is Mr. Charleston White, because he is a hybrid of Uncle Ruckus and a bunch of different people.
Who else, King? Who we gonna give him?
I don't know, man. But let me tell you something though. I saw an interview with him the other day when he was talking about Kanye West. And a lot of what he said rang absolutely true.
Right.
And people in the comments were like,
was it the one about the slave, putting him out in front of the whipping him, that type of thing?
Yeah.
And he was like, I don't, and a lot of people in the comments were like, I don't like Charleston White, but what he's saying is actually 100% correct. And like I said, when you have truth presented in front of you, again, you have to get out of that saying it and listen to it and then dismiss it once you hear it, right? If you hear something and you say, okay, that ain't what it is, then dismiss it. But don't completely shut off because this person is talking, because they might have.
Again, that goes back to who we like, who we don't like, who we want to hear, who we don't want to hear.
And that's why we get so much information, bro, because sometimes the people that we don't like give us the most poignant information.
That's very true. Because they don't have the restrictions. They ain't got nobody in their pockets.
let me tell you.
This is the one thing I'll say. A lot of our famous people start out raw, uncut, then they get that bag, and then they get those sponsors and those supporters behind them, and they can't say what they used to say.
Now
They
get
got
that
to be
publicist.
more poignant, cordial, that type of thing, and you lose them. A guy like Charleston White, nobody's in his pocket. He could get on this platform and say whatever he wants to say.
Mm-hmm.
You get what I'm saying? So you get it raw and uncut. Same thing with, rest in peace, Kevin Samuels. He didn't have tons of folk in his pocket. You get what I'm saying? So he can create a platform, get on there, say what he wants to say, and you respect him for it. You don't always consider him to be 100% right, because nobody's that. But you can't miss out on the fact that there was a lot of great advice that was on them platforms. And if you don't believe that, you're just crazy. You don't want to hear nobody.
Half the world is crazy.
Right.
Yeah. Well, like I said, my thing is people don't want to hear, especially when it's like they say, when the mirror is placed in front of them, right? They have to self-reflect on things, and somebody's exposing your sore spots per se. Like you don't want nobody sitting up there poking your sore spot. So if he's talking about overweight women and he's talking about
Big Shirley.
Yeah. So instead of her listening to it and saying, you know what, I
probably need to stop eating the Twinkies.
Yeah. No, you know what? We live in the day and age of leave me alone. Let me do me.
Mind your business.
Yeah. Mind your business.
I can. You know what? That's a little bit too tight, baby. You're a little too big for that outfit.
Listen, they want you to care about them. They want you to contribute to their GoFundMe account when they have to get a leg chopped off.
Man,
they don't want you to say nothing to them while they're doing this harm to themselves.
And then, don't say nothing because you're body shaming. Like, then you ain't getting none of my dollars if I can't tell you what you need to do.
You better believe it. I ain't giving you a nickel. If you're ugly, you're ugly. If you're big, you're big.
If I couldn't tell you go to the gym and stop eating that, then don't ask me for my money later. Like,
go on with your bad self. You know what I'm saying? You all right.
I mean, I ain't gonna call nobody ugly. They have some cosmetic differences.
Cosmetically
different, you know what I'm saying? And it's okay, right? It's okay that, you know what I'm saying, you've consumed a large amount of calories. But
I love it.
I like the way you put that. Listen, Ken is so diplomatic. Ken is so diplomatic. He'll bring you into the office and be like, you know what I'm saying? Like, your calorie intake is a little bit, you know what I'm saying, on the high side, and we think you should cosmetically change.
Hey, you know what? You want the cosmetic changes, you have to lower your calorie intake. You know what I'm saying? So my thing is,
that's a good way, Ken, to say, girl, you're big and you need to close it. You need to stop eating.
Dude, I don't care who you are. Being fat is not healthy. It's not good. You know,
it's just true.
Are there skinny people who are unhealthy? Of course.
Yes. Absolutely. Oh, absolutely.
Of course.
Yes.
But I'll tell you this. And in most cases, if a dog gets after a group of people and there's one that weighs a whole lot more than everybody else, the likelihood of that person escaping that adversity is slim to none.
And the dog's going to eat good that day.
Hold on. Pun intended. Slim to none.
Slim. I caught that.
Hey,
slim.
Man.
You gotta, I mean, you know what I'm saying? I did get up to like 200 pounds and I had to lose like 20. My doctor was like, Benji, what happened, man? I need you to lose some weight. So, you know what I'm saying? Got myself squared away. I'm back down to 182, baby. You know what I'm saying? So I understand. Totally understand. Y'all, some of y'all need to lose some weight.
That's
I ain't like Ken. I'll tell you, you're big.
You're 5 foot what again?
I'm 5 foot who?
I don't know. I'm asking. What do you
I'm
5'2"?
5'2".
I'm trying to remember.
Ain't that oh?
Hey, he the same height as Charleston
White.
5'2". Wow. So when I met you, you thought I was smaller than you. Dang, that is
no. Cold. Actually, to be honest, I don't know how tall or short you was gonna be. I never paid attention to that.
He's the same height as Charleston White.
I'm not 5'2". I'm not 5'2". I'm 5'9". You know what I'm saying?
Oh.
So, I'm happy
Okay.
with my height.
All right. So back to what we were saying before we got a little sidetracked there. Charleston White, okay, this guy is basically what's the equivalent to a shock jock of social
Right.
media, right?
Mm-hmm.
I believe he says a lot of things, and the things that he claims that he does in the community and things of that nature. I believe him. I believe that he does that in the
Yeah,
right
I agree.
Fort Worth,
I
Texas.
believe that's one of the reasons why he hadn't been touched by nobody yet, because they know the dude
Yeah,
does what he does.
that he does what he does, and I think that again for him, it's a platform. It's a way that he can get messages out, and he has spewed some rather venomous rhetoric
Right.
out into the world, but he's also said some amazing things that are very eye-opening and make you say, you know what?
See?
He's what we talked about earlier, community involvement and trying to do things. Is he speaking out of both sides of his mouth at points? Yeah,
Yes.
because he's advocating community involvement and being a good person in the community, but he's also spewing rhetoric that could cause bodily harm to him and the people around him. So that's kind of counterproductive at points. But again,
Sadly enough, that's the way most of our folk. That's the only way you can get a lot of our folks' attention, because all of them don't operate with intelligence. Some of us respond to aggression and being talked to crazy.
That is true. Maybe there's a method to his madness.
That's what I believe. I believe he operates with that method, that he knows. And again, I'm not comparing him to Kevin Samuels, but Kevin Samuels did the same thing.
Yeah.
You kind of push the narrative out there aggressively, and some people respond better that way. I'm the type, talk to me nicely, and I got your back. But if you start hollering at me,
it's kind of like your kids. You got one, you got to yell at them, and they don't. You talk nice,
right.
and they don't get it. You yell at them, all of a sudden it's action. So maybe
some girls like roses, some girls like different. It's just
what is different?
Nothing.
Yeah.
Nothing.
There was something missing there.
I'm like,
what? Okay.
No, I ain't going there. Just I like, we give roses around here. That's it.
Well, which kind of rose though? A real rose?
Hey, there was a cat for Halloween. For
Halloween,
Halloween,
both.
This dude was a rose for Halloween.
I posted that video, and
I'm like, I seen it, and I at first I was like, what am I looking at? The dude dropped his head down, and I was like, oh my God.
Fainted.
Wow.
Well, before we get off the Charleston White stuff, I just want to say, as far as Charleston White, he again is one of those guys who go about things in a unconventional way.
Very much so.
So again, when you listen to his interviews, when you see the things that he's talking about, I'm just asking you as a favor of me, start trying to listen a little bit more to these guys and their rhetoric, because I'll go back to when Trump was president. A lot of people dismissed a lot of stuff he said, but then were later surprised at some of the stuff that he did. But I'm like, he told you he was going to do that.
Right.
Listen to him and his speeches he gave and the stuff that he was talking about. He told you exactly what was going to happen. He told you exactly what he was going to do. So you don't have to be surprised when you just actually listen to people. So again, people out there, you got to start listening to understand and stop listening to react, because when your girlfriend tells you 5 or 6 times she's gonna leave, and then you come home and all her stuff is gone, and you surprised and she didn't told you 5 times, it's because you're not listening.
Yeah, I mean,
you're hearing what you want to hear.
You didn't give her. She don't like roses. She likes other things.
She don't like roses. She like rose.
She like the rose.
The rose. The rose.
The rose. She don't like you, player. She don't like you, man. I'm just saying.
She don't like
that. Either you're ugly, you're cosmetically challenged, you're struggle faced, or whatever it may be, man. You know what I'm saying? Listen to your girl. You know what I'm saying? If you got one of them, you know what I'm saying? She might help you if she's smart.
Well, I'm just gonna tell y'all this. When y'all see Benji in public, That's Benji's take on things. So the next time when that stud do that little bop and run up on you, man, you
Little
better.
daddy.
I mean, you just had to bring that up on Patricia, little daddy.
Okay.
Listen, man. Listen, I am glad I haven't been hit on by another stud as of recently. So mentally, I'm feeling, you know what I'm saying, well at this moment because I was kind of messed up. You know what I'm saying? I was asking God, like, why would you send that my way? Like, why? You know what I'm saying?
It was a
But
test.
it's all right though.
There's a reason. There's a reason.
I know. I needed to hear Lil Daddy, I guess. You know, it did sound kind of cute. I'm just saying.
Whoa.
No, I'm just messing with y'all because
Hey, yo.
Patricia gonna run with that. I already know it. I had to give you that. You know what I'm saying? So she gonna throw it back at me some other day. I already know it.
Might post about it, delete it later. I don't know.
All right. So before we get up out of here, let's give our closing thoughts. Trisha, Michelle, talk to the people before we get up out of here.
We're in some crazy times. So, like I said earlier, love on those that love on you, love on your family. Don't let the little things sway you from keeping people that mean something to you and that you love close. You never know. You never know when your time is gonna come or their time is gonna come. Right. So don't live and walk with anything that you know that will cause you to regret it later. And at the end of the day, when it comes to all these people that you're hearing all these different messages from and content and stuff, take the time to educate yourself, because education is everything. Learning and understanding and listening to understand is a big thing. So just step back a little bit before you decide to just write something and comment back or take a stance. Just take your time.
Right. Take your time, young man. Mama said, take your time.
See, they don't make music like that no more.
Yeah, they don't make music. You gotta go in the archives to find that. You gotta go to the funk laboratory to find that.
Yeah.
I gotta tell them where to find me yet, or we not there yet, right?
No, go ahead. Tell them where to find you.
Oh, haha! Y'all can find me.
Find her. Well, I mean, you can find her with that hair and that forehead. It's out today. Go ahead with your bad self.
It's girl. All right.
It's all right. It's all right.
You like it. The one of the niggas that like it, love it. So my Instagram is Trisha Michelle _YT. That's where you can find me at. That's where I'm most active at. TikTok is the same, minus the YT. So find me there. YouTube, Trisha Michelle, of course. Fiyah Session, of course, is where you can always find me too. Make sure you like, subscribe, and do all that because you got to make sure if you want to see me or see them too. I mean,
we make sure they see you, girl. You bring the honey, the bees, the honey bring the bees. There you go.
What's up, baby? Take me out the
So yeah, that's where you can find me at. I'm always posting some funny stuff here and there.
Right. And your ego's still they all right. They all right. They all right. They did pretty good.
We're gonna do good on tomorrow. Yeah.
Y'all play tomorrow?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay. That's gonna be our first L. I just had to say that just because. I'm just saying.
But tell him to be concerned about his 49ers.
Look, that's for real, the honest truth. But it's all good because if I see you in public.
Oh, look at you. It's all right if I see you. I'm out a bottle of wine in my hand. I know how to distract you.
I'm gonna give you a rose.
Which one?
We'll have to see me to find out.
All right,
man, you're a mess. You're a mess.
Benji Banks, the man, the brand. Talk to the people, my guy.
What's going on, man? Y'all know me, man. Y'all can find me a little bit of everywhere, here, there, and everywhere. But mostly, importantly, find your boy on YouTube for Finding Fiyah Session, man. Go on YouTube. Go subscribe to that joint. Check out the episodes. Peep those joints. Find me on Instagram, BRB4701. Listen, that ain't Be Right Back, okay? That's Benji Ramon Bancos.
Say it again.
Benjamin Ramon Bancos. Okay, that's what that means. It don't mean be right back 4701. I ain't listen. If I leave, I ain't coming back. I'm just telling you straight up. All right, you can find me on there. Go check us out. That's where we posted all our content. I do need to get this TikTok going. I've been saying, but we'll work something out. These social media platforms get on my nerves sometimes because it'd be some weird. I had to delete DJ Academics today because he done posted the whole thing. I was like, man, I don't want to see that, man.
I don't even know why you follow him anyway.
But y'all be solid out there, man, and love on your people, man. Like Forehead said, that's a great thing.
With the forehead comes great knowledge. Okay.
Knowledge. You was spitting some premium game today. I appreciate you, girl. All right. Thanks. You just add a dope dynamic to the show. You're kind of cool. You know what I'm saying? Yeah.
I am cool. I'm not kind of.
Well, y'all already know y'all can catch me at Big Ken's Comedy on IG, Big Ken's Comedy on Twitter, Big Ken's Comedy on Facebook. Y'all can catch the Fiyah Session on all social media platforms. Just go hit the search bar, type FIYAH session. When it pops up, go to that page, whatever platform you own, whatever social media platform you own. Go like, subscribe, share the page, holler at your people. We got videos on there. We got full episodes. Share it. Talk about the content. It creates conversation with the people, your friends. And as the world is opening up more and more and people starting to get out more and more, you're going to want to have conversations with people. And guess what? We got a lot of stuff for you to talk about. Just go look at our videos and we'll help you out. So we give you a lot of stuff to have those little conversations about. So we appreciate you all tuning in every week. As usual, we're going to come back next week with some more dope content, with some more laughs, more knowledge. As I always say, we put the medicine in the candy. We're going to give you something to think about and some knowledge to take with you, but we're going to also entertain you. So
give you a little bit of sweetness. You know
It's the balance.
Get you that balance. Have the hard conversations. Don't be afraid to have the hard conversation.
That's true.
How can you grow? How can you grow?
I mean, Negroes don't want to grow. they like complacency. So
I'll tell you this, as a person who is above average height, when you have growth spurts, they tend to hurt in your joints, and they have growth pains. That's the same thing in life. In order to grow, it's going to hurt a little bit. So, and if you want to grow, you got to go hurt once. Yeah, so you got to realize that and
be comfortable with being uncomfortable sometimes.
What's going on with your bad self?
See, we spend it's a lot of facts, y'all, but I'm telling y'all, tune in every week. We got more of this coming. We got more of the good educational entertainment coming your way every episode. Benji, Trish Michelle, Big Ken, Fiyah Session.
Y'all let your boy. Deuces.
Peace.
Go get you a robe.
Thank you for tuning in to the Fiyah Session. Follow us on all social media platforms. Just search Fiyah Session.